Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles the Benson. Welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a very serious show, right? Today going to be a serious day, but we got a very serious show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video, sub to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. My handle is CTABANZ. Let's get into this topic here. So the biggest story right now in the NBA is the scandal surrounding Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer with the Clippers, where essentially Kawhi and these guys are being accused of trying to circumvent the salary cap and receiving money under the table. The first figure that was stated was $28 million. Now they're saying $50 million, whatever. So yesterday I came across some sound from the Batard show, who was reacting to the story, but was also reacting to what Mark Cuban said yesterday on the internet. I think it's also important to say that I've been watching the sit down that Mark Cuban is having with Pablo Torre. And Mark Cuban also responded to some of what has been going on, I think, post their interview. But I just want to quickly read what Mark Cuban said yesterday. He said, "I'm Team Ballmer. As much as I wish they circumvented the salary cap, first, Steve isn't that dumb. If they did try to feed Kawhi Leonard money, knowing what was at stake for him personally and his team, do you think he would let the company go bankrupt, knowing all creditors would be visible to the world? They got scammed by aspiration along with many others, crimes for which they pled guilty last week. Scammers do scammy things. They did a $300 million sponsorship with the Clippers in 2021. That's a huge deal. The better the team does, the more valuable the sponsor has. It actually makes perfect sense that if they stole the money from the investors and want the Clippers to succeed, why not give the stolen money to keep their best player? It is sad that Pablo Torre didn't take the time to find out how these scammers pulled off their scam. The idea that the default is Ballmer is the bad guy is going to backfire on him." So that's what he said. Then I just came across this post that he published not too long ago, and he's saying this in response to Pablo Torre's watched the full episode of him and Cuban, and he said, "Pablo, come on. You only push your side in the promo. Nothing you said made your point. You took lots of information provided by scammers and negotiated with someone not connected with Ballmer and then took them at face value. Just to be clear, still Team Ballmer," right? And then some people reacted to what he had to say. So I came across this clip yesterday of Dan Batard and his crew reacting, I think, no, not Stugat, someone else, reacting to what Mark Cuban said, and they were very, very unhappy with the tone and the approach of Mark Cuban. So take a listen to what Dan Batard and these guys had to say in response to Mark Cuban's first tweet that I just read to you guys.
I wanted to ask David Sampson about this because Chris Mannix has talked to a series of NBA executives. This story is going to continue to grow. I know football is going to continue to overwhelm all in its path, but one Eastern Conference executive says, quote, "This is a huge deal." A Western Conference general manager says, "Bad for them, very bad. The NBA will be pissed about this. If it's true, the punishment will be worse than what happened in Minnesota with Joe Smith." NBA officials are furious about these allegations, according to a source with the league office telling SI, "If this is what it looks like, I think Adam has to make an example of them." I don't think this is going to be a small deal, but Mark Cuban, as is his wont, in protection of these people that he cares about, the owners, and a sport he cares about, because I imagine Mark Cuban right now is sort of frustrated. All the money in the world, I understand, but he loved that thing in a way he didn't love anything else. It was his identity, and he could be Shark Tank and everything else, but they trade Luka, and he doesn't have any control over that. Like, whatever his dreams were to own the toy that was the Dallas Mavericks, he exceeded them, but now he's old, and basketball hasn't left him behind, but the Dallas Mavericks and his identity make it so that he's the first one out on behalf of the owners to question 7 months of investigation by Pablo Torre, and begins with, "If you'd taken the time." These rich people are burying media because they've got all the money in the world, and Pablo took 7 months of time to establish what Mark Cuban says he couldn't establish, that Ballmer didn't know. David Sampson, you're an expert in this field. How could Ballmer possibly not know that $28 million was going to circumvent the cap so that they could get Kawhi Leonard?
Allegedly.
So a couple of things. When we were sitting in that room with Pablo, Amin, El Hassan, and myself, when we did the show, Pablo didn't tell us what the show was, didn't tell us what was going on. There were documents, and all of a sudden, live, we are looking at these documents. And it's all there. And Mark Cuban may or may not have watched the episode. Certainly, judging by his tweet, he had not. He had only watched the 4-minute clip on Twitter along with the other 25 million people. But Steve Ballmer gave money, invested money in this company, Aspiration. It's right there. It is a publicly filed document right there. And then the company did a deal with Kawhi Leonard for $28 million. Can you imagine Kawhi Leonard getting $28 million to endorse anything, but a company that already was giving money to Leonardo DiCaprio and Drake and Orlando Bloom and Cindy Crawford and Kaya Gerber, on and on and on. Robert Downey Jr., for crying out loud, did a commercial, and all of them made a tiny percentage of Kawhi Leonard? Do you think that the heads of Aspiration said, hey, we've got an investor in our company who owns the Clippers. Should we ask him whether Kawhi Leonard would be a good pitch person to plant a frickin' tree? Nah, let's not bother asking him. Give me a break. Of course Steve Ballmer knew. It's absurd to think that he would not have known. We had players who did deals with sponsors of our team for like a few shekels, like the corner grocery store in Hialeah or a car dealer local. Yeah, you get 25 grand in a car, big whoop,
yeah,
don't care.
But you don't have a salary cap. You don't have a salary cap, though.
But I'm saying that even we would know about the little stuff. If one of our players were doing a $28 million deal with a company that we had an investment in, David, it belies all credibility.
All right, so David, help me with this part, which is within your expertise, which is why you're a part of the episode with Pablo Torre. These things have to be heavily lawyered. You have to be able to prove these things. The money will bury you, and it is dangerous to do what Pablo is doing because the money does not like when this is done to them. Steve Ballmer is the 6th richest man in the world, wants to win with a laughingstock franchise, and according to what seems to be proof, what looks like proof, allegedly, he's got a deal that has a whole bunch of fraud in it. And while Kawhi Leonard did have a New Balance deal, you can tell me what he's actually gotten in endorsements, $28 million, and to be so sloppy about it, that he doesn't even send out a tweet of him planting a tree or have somebody go out and just hashtag aspiration, just a social media account, pay 10 tweets, something that suggests you're earning that money. Take us through, David, as quickly as you can with as much expertise as you can, what Mark Cuban did yesterday, because he doesn't have facts if he thinks Pablo Torre doesn't have this story pinned down.
So you heard what he had to say. Here are my thoughts. I think that Dan Le Batard is, first of all, trying to credit Pablo Torre for doing an excellent job with his investigative journalism. I think he's going to also support a journalist, which makes perfect sense, which is one of the reasons why I don't understand why so many people are saying, well, Ballmer's going to support a billionaire, but people are going to support their own factions, man. NBA players are going to support NBA players. This group is going to support that group. I just think it's human nature, right? Everybody's going to support their own various constituencies. But as it pertains to this issue here, it seems like Cuban is willing to put his neck on the line and go out there and discuss this publicly. As I said, I was watching some of the interview. It's about an hour and 20-minute interview. I didn't get a chance to go through it because we had other content that we need to prepare for you guys here today. But it seems like he still feels as if that Pablo is only looking at this thing from one vantage point. Hence the comments he just published online where he's essentially saying that, look, you're only looking at this from one angle and you're getting a lot of information from. Let me go back to his tweet where he says, you took lots of information provided by scammers who negotiated with someone not connected to Ballmer. So what he's saying is you're taking everything that these guys are saying at face value and you're just going with it. But when when it comes time to Ballmer, you're just assuming that this guy must have been doing something shady based on the fact that history has shown that teams have gone above and beyond to land star players when they want them. That's what the interview, those are one of the central points that Pablo Torre was making in the sit down that he had with Mark Cuban. He was essentially saying that teams are willing to go to any extent to sign these players, right? And he's saying that smart people can also make unethical decisions. Well, and in the case of Cuban, he's saying, yeah, that's true, but it also could be that smart people can also get scammed, right? He's also saying that, and I read through the comments and all of that. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about what Dan Le Batard had to say about the situation here? Do you agree with him? Are you on his side? And whose side are you on thus far? And most importantly, do you have a grasp of what's going on here? Whatever you guys think, Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comments section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.